Today on the Pro-Life Podcast, in answer to the question why we still need to fight Planned Parenthood, well, we've got some news for you. Pull up a chair, let's get started. Happy Tuesday, friends. Welcome back. Grab your coffee, pull up a chair. Let's introduce the ladies around the table. It's been a while, you know. It's good to have everybody back. Yeah. Everybody back. Thanks.
Look, y'all, I gotta go lots of places.
She busy.
I know, she busy. She been talking. All right. Well, for the folks at home, would you please introduce yourselves?
Hi there, Kim Schwartz, Media and Communication Director.
I am Veronica Arnold-Smither. I work in education.
Emily Cook, General Counsel.
Brent Clearman, IT. Okay, so we want to talk about, this is going to put me on another list, an FBI task force that has been targeting pro-lifers.
Yeah, so we talked about this earlier on the podcast, how the Biden administration appears to be going after pro-lifers. They first arrested a pro-life dad, and we talked about that, about how, a while ago, long time ago, he was in an altercation outside of an abortion clinic.
Mark Houck,
Yes.
With the guy, a pro-choice person trying to assault his son. And then the dad defended his son and got arrested. Case appeared to be all closed up and everything. And the FBI decided to just rip that Band-Aid off and go back in, raid his house, point guns at him in front of his children. Very scary stuff. That was just the tip of the iceberg. They have since arrested at least 11 more pro-life people since then, and they're saying that this is in violation of the FACE Act, which prevents people from blocking entrances to abortion clinics. And it's like, okay, fair enough, but is this necessarily the FBI's jurisdiction? Is there something larger at stake here?
And were these people actually even in violation of the FACE Act? So
Right.
far, no.
Right.
And the FBI is still arresting them. And like you said, I'm sorry I'm interrupting. I'm getting all fired up now. This is not the FBI's job.
Yeah.
Keep going, Kim.
Yeah. So that's the big question here is, like, this appears to be politically motivated persecution. The Biden administration weaponizing law enforcement to go after political opponents. Yeah.
Let me jump in here. Let's not forget,
Counselor?
in these situations, there might have been the police called, a police altercation, but the local authorities decided not to prosecute. If it's not worth their time and resources, then it must have not been that bad, or the facts shown that it actually didn't happen. But now we're going to put the FBI's resources behind it. And no, it has nothing to do with any alleged violations of federal law. It is about intimidating pro-lifers.
Our tax dollars hard at work.
Yeah. They didn't get their way with Roe v. Wade, and so now they're just going to come raid our houses instead.
Mm-hmm.
It's really great.
Right. So hold on
I'm
to
just
your
so
hats.
happy about it.
So the Biden administration, after Roe v. Wade was overturned, they've been really just distraught with how they haven't been able to restore abortion like they hoped, like the left has been depending on them to do.
Like the Supreme Court decided they didn't have the right to do.
Yes, exactly. And so the Biden administration is like, what is this Constitution in my way? I don't understand it.
It's an old document.
Right. And so now they're just using law enforcement to do their dirty work. So we just have to pray. They have made a reproductive rights task force in the DOJ.
Sounds so funny out loud.
It's why? If we
Hang on. I'm still processing that.
It's literally called the Reproductive Rights Task Force.
Mhm.
I'm sorry. That's so funny.
Yep. So that's according to the Washington Examiner. They started putting this into motion in July. We had a lot of other stuff coming out of the Biden administration at that point that it wasn't noticed as much as some of their other more blatant actions. But the fruit of that we're seeing it right now.
Flew under the radar till they started kicking in people's doors.
Yep.
Nice.
Insert eye roll.
Yeah, for real. So that's what Joe Biden is up to. Chip Roy, a congressman from Texas, has, put an inquiry into trying to find out, like, what is the purpose of this task force? What do they plan to do? So we're really hoping that we'll see some answers from that, especially as we get closer to November. It's becoming more and more obvious that Republicans are going to win the House. Democrats, people are just tired of their nonsense like this. And so we're going to get answers, and I really hope we're going to get answers as Republicans retake the House, and we can do more investigations into what Joe Biden is doing with our tax dollars to persecute political opponents like this.
Yep.
Hot mess. All on behest of Planned Parenthood. Joe Biden will do anything that Planned Parenthood says.
Oh, Planned Parenthood. Always up to interesting things.
They sure are.
Yeah, we were talking earlier, Veronica, you had some notes on. So there's a new annual report.
Yeah.
And some new numbers out from Planned Parenthood. Mostly not good.
Yeah, definitely not good. So Planned Parenthood is usually pretty good about releasing their annual report on schedule, but the latest one was released later than usual. And they released it on like a Friday evening, which in any
when
sort
nobody's
of...
paying attention.
Exactly.
Just, yeah.
In any sort of political or journalism world, you immediately know that that's because they're trying to hide something. They're trying to avoid...
It's called the Friday news dump. So it's like 4:59 p.m. on a Friday. It's like, oh, by the way, this big thing happened.
Nobody's going to read it, and at most it makes like a Sunday weird time slot news that nobody watches.
So that's what Planned Parenthood did.
But I mean, it's really important to just mention why we think they're hiding it. It's because their abortion services rate went way up, and their other services rates have gone way down. And
but what about women's health?
And what about 3%? Like they used to say, abortion's only 3% of what we do. We do all these other things.
And wait, why does this matter? It matters because they get millions and millions and millions of dollars of our tax money.
There's those tax dollars again.
Yeah, in their annual report, they say, they show that their taxpayer funding has increased while abortions increased and legitimate health services went down.
Yeah, like
this
STI
is all about
screenings and adoption referrals. It's kind of weird that they even do those, but I mean, hey, even all their other quote-unquote good services have gone way down, like by 30-40%. Abortions have gone up by like 20+%. And that's bad news. I guess you could say they're drawing a line in the sand for themselves, though. They can no longer just say abortion is only 3% of what we do. By their new numbers, people would say, oh, well, it's only still 4 to 5% of what they do. But if you actually calculate it out, okay, if a woman goes in for an abortion and birth control and an STI screening, well, then 1/3 of the services that she got that day is an abortion. But of course, the most expensive one is the abortion. And it's probably, several hundred to thousands of dollars, depending on how far along she is in her pregnancy. And so it just does not make sense to say, oh, abortion's only a small amount of what we do. No, that's their cash cow. Yeah. That is how they make their money. And also relevant to know that the national abortion rate has also increased. The Guttmacher Institute, which is a pro-abortion research arm, it's really great when pro-lifers quote their numbers because they come straight from pro-abortion researchers, and so they can't say that pro-lifers are making these numbers up. No, they come straight from a pro-abortion research firm. They're saying that abortion has gone up 8% since 2017. 2017 to 2020 abortion rate annually across the nation has gone up 8%. And so that's bad news that we just need to sound the alarm. We need to remind people that this fight is not over. Yes, Roe v. Wade is overturned. That means it went back to the states. Every state's going to have different rules. And a lot of people have been speculating about why the abortion rate increased, I think. And a lot of people have been talking about how COVID shutdowns and the scares and inflation are really scaring people about parenthood. They don't want to bring children into a difficult world. But that is such a misguided loss of hope. I mean, we need to have hope. Children are a gift from God. And yes, sometimes people can be scared, but there's always help. Like, we can always find help and hope. And we shouldn't be aborting our children out of fear. So we need to continue to sound this alarm and help people. And I'm so proud of all the churches that are responding to this bad news. But we need all the churches to respond to this bad news and say, we're going to start another pregnancy center. And we're going to be there to help you. We're going to start more food pantries because inflation is freaking everyone out. So yeah.
And there was this crazy thing recently that Yahoo News put out. It was a tweet from Yahoo News saying that there are shortages on diapers. And they blame the anti-abortion movement for it.
OMG.
How the anti-abortion movement is contributing to diaper deserts. And it just made me think of Thanos. Because...
Thanos?
Yes, Thanos. Because here you are, this comic book villain saying, I'm going to get like the ultimate power of the universe in my hand. Because there is a disparity between the number of people we have and the number of resources we have. So instead of increasing the resources we have, we're just going to kill half the population. That was the Thanos approach. So Yahoo News was like, you know what? That's a great idea. Let's do that.
Terrible.
Yeah, it is shocking. And like you talked about too, about how there were more people kind of looking for abortions within this last couple of years because the abortion rate has increased. And a lot of people are saying, well, this world is too chaotic. It's too scary. It's not a good time to bring a child into the world. When has the world not been chaotic? Like,
Right there.
If you look at this point in history compared to like our great ancestors, when it's like, you're being chased by a bear. That's pretty chaotic, I would say.
You have to, not have air conditioning and go to the bathroom outside, and where bathing was not a thing in many cultures for hundreds of years. So
we made it this
I would
far.
say we're doing pretty good for the state of having kids right now.
Yeah.
I will say probably about the time I got married, one of my friends told me, and married people and parents at the table, correct me if this is wrong. Okay. She told me, if you wait until you have enough money, enough whatever, you will never get married. And you will never have kids.
Right. There's no such thing
there's no enough time, money, resource, whatever.
There's no perfect time. It doesn't exist.
If you wait until the stars align, you're never going to do it.
Well, and you learn as you go. I mean, there's no way to just get ready with completion. Says the mom over here.
Audio listeners, you really need to tune into the video version of this one to see Emily's reaction.
No, I feel you. I got a teenager in my house. I feel you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But you learn as you go, but also you prepare as you go. But also, you can prepare so perfectly and then lose everything. And then, back to Bible stories. I mean, Job was so well prepared and had everything and still lost everything. And you just never know what's going to happen. And then yet God rebuilt his life for him. And so there's always hope. Like the story ends well. And so we can't just like give into this fear mongering and say, oh, it's too expensive, or I'm too afraid, or the shutdowns are too scary, or the pandemic is too scary, all these things. Like, don't be afraid. Just trust in Christ. And then moving on with why Planned Parenthood sucks.
Wait, but we're going to have to take a break pretty quick. We got to finish that thought of why does Planned Parenthood suck?
Oh, so many reasons.
So many.
Save the date for Boots on the Ground. It's an awesome pro-life conference coming up January 28th and 29th. Come to Austin, Texas with us to march to the Capitol to celebrate the end of Roe v. Wade, to commemorate Roe v. Wade, and to learn from expert pro-life speakers on how to keep Texas pro-life forever. Come to Austin with us and hear from Ryan Baumberger, our keynote speaker who shares his personal story, and so much more. Book your tickets today, bootsonthegroundtx.com. See you in January.
Welcome back, friends. Hopefully we will see you at Boots on the Ground. It's going to be an awesome event. I'm excited. It's going to be fun. Yeah. So back on the discussion about why Planned Parenthood is cray.
Yeah.
So many reasons.
I mean, people ask me, why do we still need to oppose Planned Parenthood? And just generally...
I guess because I think abortion's illegal in Texas now. So
yeah.
Why
so
bother?
everything is done?
Yeah. Well, the main thing is that they're sending women out of state to have abortions. And we even saw recently in the news in other states, they're making these abortion RVs where they get a bus, they drive it right to the state line. They don't cross the state line, but they drive it right to state line so women can come and take the abortion pill there and then cross back over. So they didn't break that state law, but they made it right there on the state line. And it just, that point
is
really...
it a white panel van? I mean...
Crazy. Free candy on the side or something.
Gosh.
Yeah. But it just, we've made this point before, but it always drives me insane that Planned Parenthood and the abortion industry will say over and over that women are going to die from back alley abortions, and that's why abortion must be legal. Then they turn around and say, hey, do you want an illegal abortion? Right here, get in my van. You can't believe both things at the same time.
You can. If you're on the left, you can believe any number of ridiculous things.
That's true.
You want all at once.
The only thing better than standards are double standards.
I think they're going for even triple, maybe.
Oh, maybe. Yeah.
That was really good fun.
Thank you.
I know I laugh easily, but still.
Continue your thought. I'm sorry.
Fair enough. So Planned Parenthood has had to have this shift in their approach to abortion. They still are, at the end of the day, an abortion business, and they're going to do everything they can to keep that afloat, whether that's from their election strategy, whether that's from this like kind of grassroots mobile activism with the abortion RV, things like that. They're trying to keep abortion at the forefront as much as possible because that's what makes money. Yeah. People say like, well, what about their legitimate health services? Well, we're talking about their annual report. From their latest annual report, it says they did 17% fewer STI tests, 36% fewer breast exams, and let me remind everybody that Planned Parenthood gets tax money for doing breast cancer prevention, things like that. They don't own any mammography equipment. Like they do the test that the self-examination that you can do at home, and they're getting taxpayer money from that.
Wait.
Yeah.
They're doing exams that they have zero equipment for?
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah. And getting taxpayer dollars from that. Even as recently, I think is about 2014, 15-ish in Texas, they were getting money from the breast cancer screening program, and they admitted in several interviews, even though on one hand they'll say, yes, we do important work like breast cancer screenings.
Mammograms.
And then turn around and say, oh, we actually don't offer any of that. So they use those just as a cover for their abortions. Anyway, so breast cancer screenings went down, 27% fewer Pap tests, yet they did 30,000 more abortions during the same reporting period compared to the previous year. They did 27% fewer adoption referrals, and even one adoption referral for every 200 abortions. All of this is a front for abortion. They do not care about the other legitimate health services. And we've talked about this before too. Like, you know, if they only did those legitimate healthcare services and not abortions, I don't think anybody would have a problem with Planned Parenthood. But the fact that abortion is their main moneymaker, the fact that they are involved in this grave evil means we cannot participate in it. We cannot fund it, even if it's like, well, we're just funding their legitimate healthcare services. Money is fungible. If you've got $20 to your name and you can either buy groceries or cigarettes, and I say, I'll give you $20, but you can only use it on groceries. That means now I've allowed you to use your other $20 for cigarettes. Now you can buy both groceries and cigarettes. I don't want you smoking, Veronica. You're pregnant.
That's bad. Stop smoking.
Well, it's really important. It's really important for pro-lifers to understand how to combat the whole, oh, well, abortion's only 4% of their services, to combat that talking point so that when you're interacting with pro-abortion people or just people who think, oh, abortion's okay sometimes, that you're able to combat that narrative.
Yeah.
Right.
It would be like if the MLB said, we're not really a baseball organization. We are hot dog vendors because we sell more hot dogs than we do baseball tickets. No one would believe that. That would be insane because, yes, they do sell more hot dogs, but a hot dog costs like a couple bucks in the ballpark versus like your Astros playoff tickets. Like,
well, if you said a couple bucks, then you haven't been to a game in a while.
I have not. It's true.
But, I mean, they could also say they're, a beer company, too, because doggone.
Yeah.
That's what everybody's got 2 or 3 of.
Yeah. But nobody believes
ludicrous.
that.
No one's going to believe that they're a food service industry.
In the same way that the MLB is not a hot dog vendor, Planned Parenthood is not a healthcare provider. They are an abortion business, bottom line.
Yep.
And they're going to do everything that they can to try to save that, including trying to register dead voters, which is what they've also been up to lately.
What was that new batch of shenanigans? Texas GOP posted an article about that. You've got some feelings, don't you?
Well, the way you cheat in elections is through the mail process, right? So
Mhm.
either registering people through the mail, or then you could get ballot by mail applications. And you're like, that's how you can cheat in our elections. And so it's really no surprise that they're attempting to get applications to register to vote people who are deceased. Names are weird, and so they can just register these people, and then they can, get ballot by mail applications for them and harvesting votes that way.
Just get your little card in the mail. Doesn't have a picture on it.
Yeah.
Yikes.
And it's been people who have been dead for 10 years. They sent out mailers to Harris County trying to get people who are dead to register to vote. And it's not like they should
Right.
know better.
And the stopgap there is, it's only how good is your county elections office. So if you
Right.
have a really good county elections office, it's diligent, prudent, they're going to catch those things and say, yeah, this guy's dead. But if they're not diligent, human error or malfeasance, they
Right.
want to continue that trend, there's nothing that stops them from actually registering those people to vote.
Yeah.
Well, back when I was a precinct chair and election judge, like you knew your neighbors and you could know, like, wait a minute, Mr. Jones passed. But now in Harris County, you can vote at any precinct, anywhere. So I
Man.
don't necessarily know who the people are who are coming in to vote with me because
Because
they're allowed to just stop by wherever.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know if Mr. Jones that just walked in and put a card in front of me is
Or that he
that
voted
guy,
3 times,
or
that he's
dead,
dead.
or voted 3 other times as Mr. Jones, Mr. Smith, and whatever.
Yeah. What a mess.
And again, it's the whole through mail where the
Yeah.
things fall apart. There are more protections in in-person
Sure.
voting than there are ballot by mails, which those same problems when you're registering people to vote are inherent there.
So Planned Parenthood, just a mess all around. This month is they celebrate their birthday, which is pretty sick because their entire business is based on
Preventing birthdays.
yes.
Can we call it an anniversary or something? Not a birth. I don't know. It
Yeah,
just,
what a mess.
It feels really wrong.
Yeah.
Well, there's another point that I always want people who are listening to our podcast to be able to engage with their peers, engage with people better. And so what about the whole of, well, if we don't have Planned Parenthood giving even though these services, then who's going to provide STI testing and
Right.
screenings, and
Yeah.
who's going to do all that, right? Is a very popular refrain.
Anyone else?
Right. The reality is they're called FQHC for short. It's
Yeah.
called Federally Qualified Health Centers that are eligible to receive the same kinds of funds that Planned Parenthood has, that actually do their purpose is to do those services. They don't do abortion. Their purpose is not for abortion.
Right.
It is to provide those exact same
They actually
services.
have mammogram machines.
Yes.
Yeah,
Correct.
and for a low cost.
Baseline.
Correct.
Yeah, federally funded in order to provide it for low cost for people in lower income brackets. Yeah.
And we did a project one time for the Texas legislature when we were lobbying to move state funds, state tax dollars from Planned Parenthood to the federally qualified health centers in Texas. And we mapped out where these FQHCs were in all different Senate districts. I mean, they're like 4 times the amount of what was then Planned Parenthood, much more accessible to rural Texans and just the whole gamut. So, I mean,
I had to update that map recently for a graphic. It was so cumbersome because there are thousands. I had to put over 3,000 little dots all over this map because there are so many Healthy Texas Women clinics in the state. And then the abortion map, it's like a handful.
And that's what it was. And we took the FQHCs and then they turned into the Healthy Texas Women's Program.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's a good problem to have. Too
Yeah.
many little dots for good
Yep.
clinics to go to.
I'll take it. Yeah, for sure.
Well, I want to wrap up there then on
That's
a happy
a good place
note,
to
Right.
because that earlier parts were kind
Rip.
of dark, guys. So yes, we have maps. Go find them where you can find resources near you. They're on our website. Links below. We'll throw all that stuff in the description. Thank you for watching, for liking, sharing with your friends. Have those conversations. Share this stuff with your friends, guys. And we will see you next time.